Well, we got Dave Ruch on the line, the guitarist from this band, Organ Fairchild. Hi, Dave.
Hi, David. How are you?
Hey,
Good.
Dave.
It's great to hear your voice, man. I love this record.
Oh, man, I'm so delighted that you do. Thanks for playing it.
Oh yeah, well, when I listened to it a couple times in the afternoon last week to get acquainted with it and pick tracks and stuff, and then my wife got home and we listened to it again, and she loves it too. So you're
I
very
love to
popular
hear
in our
that.
house right now.
Long may it continue. Thank you so much.
Well, tell us about the band. I love the name, first of all. Organ Fairchild is a spectacularly good name for a band that's an organ trio.
It is, and if anybody over the age of 50 or so seems to get it, we get a lot of younger people at festivals and clubs, like, what is your name all about? What does that mean? So you can generally tell somebody's age by how they react to the name. But yeah, we actually, our first idea, because we're an organ trio, right? So guitar, organ, and drums, and the organ player really is playing two roles. He's playing bass with his left hand on the keys and organ with the right hand. So we wanted to get the word organ into the band name, and our first thought was actually Organ Freeman, but it turns out that name is already taken by a great band out of California. So Organ Fairchild was next up on the list, and that's the one we stuck with.
I
Yeah,
think
we've
you
been
should
having a
maybe
blast.
get John Lovitz's permission to use his face from that character that he used to play on Saturday Night Live.
That
Remember
always,
that lying dude that said he was, friends, Morgan Fairchild. Yeah, that's the
Yep.
that one.
his,
Remember?
Well-
yeah, my wife, Morgan Fairchild. Yeah, Tommy Flanagan, the president of Liars Anonymous, a great character. So we should explain to the younger people that Morgan Fairchild is an actress who was very popular in the 70s, maybe early 80s. On kind of TV primetime soap opera type fare, mostly, if I remember right.
That sounds right, yeah.
But you don't need to know the history to enjoy the music of Organ Fairchild.
Oh, that's sweet. Thank you. Yeah, so the band got together we've known each other literally since the early 80s when we played in a Dead band together as teenagers. But this particular group was put together just about 4 years ago as a fun sort of reacquaintance for the three of us who'd all gone off and done lots of other musical projects. And so we decided to put a few parameters on it, the organ trio format being one, right, where we don't have a bass player and nobody's going to sing. And then we started to write our own material for the first time for two of the three of us for the first time in our lives. So we are not young people, as you can imagine, if we started in the early 80s. So it's been just a tremendous rebirth for all three of us, and we've just been having so much fun. So this most recent record that you just played Lost Sailor from is actually an album of covers. We have two albums of original material, and then we decided to put out one kind of in between before the next original record, and just pay tribute to some of the bands we really love, some of the stuff we've had fun rearranging in our format. And, some stuff works and some stuff doesn't if you're not going to sing it. So we always look for ways to kind of creatively rearrange these tunes.
Yeah, I love the format. I'm a big organ trio fan. Came up loving Jimmy Smith and Groove Holmes and Charles Earland and guys like that. But I also love the idea of approaching the Grateful Dead repertoire the way that great jazz players of an earlier generation interpreted the standards of their time, the songs that were thought of as the standards, which could be anything from Rodgers and Hammerstein to all over the map. They would take pop tunes and transform them. And we think of the Grateful Dead as our standards, our great American songbook. So it's really, it's ripe for that kind of interpretation.
Yeah, we couldn't agree more. I mean, the Grateful Dead repertoire has become its own real book at this point, if you will,
Yes.
the real book of standards.
Right.
And there are so many ways to slice it. And even with Grateful Dead music, once a year here in Buffalo, New York, where we are based, we do an entire evening of Grateful Dead music. It's called Organ Fairchild Plays Grateful Dead, where we do two sets of nothing but Grateful Dead music in our unique little format. And some stuff, that some of the tunes we love, just we haven't been able to find a a way into them in our format that we think really is bringing something new to the table. But we have found no shortage of Grateful Dead tunes. The first year we did it, we ended up having to do 2 nights because the first one sold out so quickly. So we actually had 4 unique sets of Grateful Dead material rearranged. And, as you know, on any given night, any of these tunes can come out pretty differently depending on how the musicians are feeling and responding to each other and how the crowd's interacting with it. So it's a deep and almost bottomless well for us.
Yeah. Great.
This album has some reggae. It has a Leonard Cohen song. It has an Otis Redding song. It has a Beatles song. It has a Stevie Wonder song, 2 Grateful Dead songs, and a Harry Styles song. That seems somewhat anachronistic.
You noticed that, huh? Yeah, our drummer Corey, his wonderful daughter Alexa is a huge Harry Styles fan, so she actually introduced us to that song. It's called Canyon Moon, and it just, again, it just seemed like the kind of tune we could knock around and have some fun with, so we started to bat it around and came into a really cool and fun way to do it. So it's been fun to play that live when we play our because there will be a few people in every crowd, even if it's an older crowd, who knows that material. And just, whether you are familiar with Harry Styles music or not, I think it's just a fun tune. So,
it works great.
We just decided, why not?
Yeah, talking with Dave Ruch, who's the guitarist of this wonderful trio, Organ Fairchild, and their new record is called Songs We Didn't Write. It's got 2 Grateful Dead covers on it and a bunch of other cool stuff. It's on Organ Fairchild Records. I assume that makes them very easy to find in the search engines. Are you on the usual downloadable and streaming places and all that?
Yep, absolutely. We've got it on vinyl and CD on our own website, organfairchild.com, and then it's everywhere else on Bandcamp and all the streaming services, Spotify, Apple Music, etc.
Great. Now, Dave, you've in the last few years, you've been doing educational work too, like doing music and cultural education in schools, right? Are you still doing that stuff?
I am. Yeah, I've been doing that for 30 years now. Yep.
Good
That's
Lord.
my day job.
Say more.
Oh, sure. My sort of sweet spot as far as working with kids is interpreting history, different parts of American history and world culture through music. So just for instance, every 4th grader in the entire state of New York learns state history as part of their social studies and ELA curriculum. So turns out there's all kinds of wonderful traditional and historical music from the Erie Canal, for instance, which is a big story here in our state, from the Native American people, from colonial times in the colony of New Netherland, which became the colony of New York. So I bring in music from different time periods that the kids are already learning about and use the music as kind of a hook to engage, especially those students. And this is what always makes it so, the work so meaningful for me is when a teacher comes up after and says, you probably didn't notice, but Johnny over there in the corner was more engaged with what you just did over the last hour than he has been, the entire rest of the school year. Some kids don't absorb the material in that traditional sort of lecture format. It's just, it's not for everyone. And so the idea is to get the kids excited about the topics that they're already charged with learning about by using music to bring them in. And so
Fantastic.
It's on a good day, it feels like the best job in the world.
Oh, that's just great. Well, I'm married to a retired school teacher, and I've been exposed to the importance and the value of how to motivate kids to learn, listening to her talk about it all these years. And the fact that you can find a way into those souls with music is just a wonderful thing.
Yeah, I mean, the arts have that unique ability to connect, and so I feel very fortunate. And luckily, there's still enough schools setting aside the time, which is not easy for them anymore, and the budget to bring artists in to help their students connect with some things that they might not otherwise. So, yeah, I'm grateful.
That's a great thing. Does Organ Fairchild have gigs coming up you'd like to mention?
I'd love to. Yeah, we were just this past weekend at a wonderful, sweet little festival, not little, sweet mid-sized festival in Vermont, southern Vermont, called the Dead of Summer Music Festival. We played there yesterday, actually, and had a terrific time. So shout out to them. Next weekend, we're going to be at the Grassroots Festival outside of Ithaca, New York, which is run by the band Donna the Buffalo.
Oh, my favorite band. Give them my love.
Yeah, I will. And that's a festival that's been going on for 30-some years at this point, and it just has become its own little ecosystem. And so we're really thrilled to be doing 2 sets there over 2 different days. So that's next weekend. And then the weekend after that, we're going to be in Pennsylvania at 2 different festivals. There's the Flood City Music Festival in Johnstown with a lot of kind of ringer bands in the jam space. And we get to play the late night set after the main stage shuts down. So that's going to be a blast. And then the next day we're up near Erie, PA at another festival called The Gathering at Chafee's. So all that stuff's on our website, and then we go on from there. We'll be in New England in August and heading out Midwest in the fall, and then hopefully out west even further in spring of 2025.
Well, I hope you get out to California at some point. It would be lovely to see you in
I
person.
do too. It'd be fun to do a couple shows together, and next time you come this way, let's talk about doing some stuff together.
I love it, and I appreciate the invitation. And for those who don't know, Dave and I first played music together more than 25 years ago on a little tour called the Merry Danksters.
Oh, yeah.
So thank you for spending some time with us. Thank you for this lovely record, and please stay in touch, man. I'm thrilled for you that this is going so well.
Wishing you the best,
guys.
Dave.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be on, and thank you for carving out the time for us.
You bet. Be well, and see you in the future.
Okay. Take care, guys.